Class is in session. What's up, people? This is Professor Ganymede. First of all, I want to thank my newest Patreon donors, Greg and Bill, for donating to my Patreon. I really appreciate that, and that really helps out. In this video, a friend and I, we went into a map and we did some extensive testing on exactly how Lucio's new knockback works. So we tested the knockback with different angles, weights, movements, and just seeing how those variables affect the distance in which you knock back the enemy. And now I'm going to show you those results in this video. So let's break it down. Alright, what I'm testing here is whether or not my distance from the target I'm going to knock back affects how far they get knocked back from. So let's take a look at the results. I'm going to go to around the maximum distance away from the target and knock them back. And you notice it's the exact same distance. And now just to confirm, I'm gonna basically touch the target and knock them back, and it's the same distance. What I'm testing here is whether or not me looking down affects the distance. So he's standing in the same spot. I'm standing right next to him, and I push him back while looking down at about a 30 degree angle, or a 30, 45 degree angle, something like that. And it's a little bit less, as you can see. Now we're going to do it again, and I'm going to be looking down at his feet. So this is kind of like a 45 degree angle downward. So a negative 45 degree angle, I guess you call it technically. And it's the same distance. I think this pretty much confirms that. I think I'm going to do it one more time. That when looking down, the person goes a little bit less far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand slightly to the side and knock him away and see whether or not that affects the distance. Nope, it's the same distance. I'm going to line up with him and try it again and see what distance it is. Confirmed, it's the same distance, even whether or not you're perfectly lined up with the person or if you're standing a little bit off to the side. As long as you hit them with the sound barrier or the knockback, then they'll go back the same distance. And it's the same on both sides here as demonstrated. Now I'm going to test here. Alright, the direction I'm facing when I knock them back influences, pretty much dictates the direction that the person who I knock back is going to move. And I'm going to demonstrate it on the right side as well. I'm going to line it up, using the base of that little coffin. Alright, I missed. Using the base of the coffin, I'm going to line it up, and he's going to go that way. As long as you hit them, they go in the direction you're facing. We're going to try to see how crouching affects things. So I'm going to crouch, look at the same angle, and knock them back. And it's the same. So I'm looking around a 45 degree angle while standing up. Here's the distance. Here's around the distance of where they go while standing up while looking at a 45 degree angle. Now I'm going to crouch. I'm going to get at that same angle, crouch, and knock them back and see if it affects distance. It's the same. It's the exact same. It is the exact same distance whether crouching. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test height. So that was standing up, and now I'm going to crouch and do it, same angle. So what we found out here, based on my conversation with the guy I'm actually pushing, is that when crouching and looking at the same angle, there is a very minimum effect on height. There's no effect on distance, minimum effect on height. So within like a margin of error of like 3% or 3 degrees. What we're testing here is we're just going to get the normal one. He's going to move forward as I hit him and then stop moving once he hits the ground. And this is the distance we get for him. Then we're going to do a slightly upward angle. This is around like 15 degrees. And see how this affects this. He's going to... So because we had a higher angle, he had more time to adjust his movement while in the air, and he actually ended up landing closer to me than if I was just doing it neutrally. I'm going to move up higher, and as we see here as well, because he was knocked up higher, he had more time to control his movement, and he has even less distance. We're going to go to the nose now. And I expect this to be much closer. He barely goes anywhere because he has so much time to control his movement. When he's moving forward while in the air, once he gets knocked back, which is a lot of people will be doing. As soon as they get knocked back, they're going to try to move forward in order to reduce the impact of their knockback. Now I'm going to move. There we go. Now that height, he basically doesn't go anywhere. We figured out that the furthest boop, based on that I've tested, is to just look forward, and they'll, even with them compensating for their movement and trying to adjust their movement in the air, that'll be what knocks them back furthest, is if you just look forward. Now we're at neutral, and I'm going to knock him back, and he's going to move backwards and then stop moving once he hits the ground. He doesn't. The difference is very small, maybe like a 5% difference to maybe even less than that. So what we did is we knocked him back and we had him move forward. That's fine with the neutral position. Now what I'm going to do is have him move backwards as soon as I hit him in the neutral position. And this is the difference for if they're moving backwards when you knock them. So the very noticeable difference when compared to them moving backwards or forward at the neutral. Now we're going to go to around this 15-degree angle. So we're going to have him move forward at this 15-degree angle here, around there, 15-20-degree angle. Here's where he lands if he's moving forward. Now I'm going to have him from this 15-degree angle, 15-20-degree angle, I'm going to have him move backwards to see the difference. He is much further back now from where he was. We went from 15, we'll go to around the 25-degree angle, and he's going to move forward. Here's what the forward movement looks like on that 25-degree angle, around there, 25, 30, something like that degree angle. Middle of the guy's bandages. And he's going to move backwards now and see the distance. Yep, that is quite a large difference. So the higher they go, the more control they have over where they land. So now we're going to do with him crouching in the neutral position. And I'm in the neutral position. We're going to see if it affects anything. And nope, it's in the same location as if he was standing up. Now what we're going to do here is see whether or not jumping affects the distance of the knockback at the neutral position. He jumps, knocked him back during the jump. And it looks like there's a small difference. He goes a little bit further back than what he usually would go back. And we're going to test it again just to be sure. Definitely a difference. Small 3 to 5% difference. Now, one thing we're going to test here is going to be interesting is how our knockback affects enemy Lucios, and this is actually a very strange interaction. So we're both on heal, our heal passive. All right, we're in neutral position. I am touching him here, and we're going to knock him back and see where he lands. Look, he lands right there. So apparently Lucio has a special relationship with other knockbacks where he just goes further than anyone else for no apparent reason, just because he's Lucio. Now we're going to see whether or not him being in speed buff affects the distance where he gets knocked back. So I'm in the heal buff, he's in the speed buff. Neutral position. It looks like it's hard to judge. Yeah, it's hard to judge, but it seemed like he landed in pretty much the same position, even with him being on speed buff. So we're going to see if heavier characters are affected more by the boop. We're in the neutral position, knock him back. He's in the exact same location. Now we're going to test it in speed, see if speed affects it at all. If me being in speed. No, they're in the exact same position. So whether or not you're in heal or speed as Lucio, you get the same distance knocked back. We're going to test on Diva as well. This is a weight test to see whether or not heavier characters are moved back any further or less far. Knockback, and he's in the exact same difference as Ana, exact same difference as Orisa. Now we're gonna see how the knockback is affected when D.Va starts shooting, because we know that D.Va slows down when she's shooting. So this is the distance when she's shooting, because her base speed changes when she's shooting, so she gets knocked back less. And this is the knockback distance for Orisa when she's shooting. A very big difference from the standard knockback distance. So we show here that when in tank form, because Bastion's movement is set to 0, he doesn't get knocked back when he's in tank form, and that's been always the case. So if he transforms after he's being booped, he still goes the standard distance and then lands in his tank form. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to try to boop him in the middle of his transformation and see the results. So while he's transforming, he cannot be knocked back. As soon as he starts transforming, his speed is set to 0, and he cannot be knocked back here. And this includes when he jumps. If he jumps to transform, his speed is set to 0, and then he cannot be knocked back up. Yep. His transformation pretty much counteracts Lucio's knockback. Looks like a counter button. So, yeah, you see there that because he was moving backwards at the edge of the well, he was actually able to move backwards and survive there. And so that's what you're going to have to deal with if you look too far up. But if you look neutral, all right, do the same thing where just on knockback, move backwards. 3, 2, 1, knockback. If you move neutral, then he has less leeway to move while he's in the air, and he'll actually fall into the well. So one thing you can do is, if you see them close, to not overshoot it, just look forward. Just look forward. Or what you can do as well is you can look downward, because we know that there's a slight, you knock them back slightly less when you're looking downwards. So those are the results. It looks like if you want to get the furthest knockback, you just need to look straight. There's no need to look upwards. Though there's other, variables taken into place when you want to, knock them in, certain positions. Maybe want to knock someone up or down. But definitely understand that if you knock someone further up, they have more control of their movement. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. This is going to be helpful to me. If you like that, you can follow me on my Twitter. You can watch me stream on Twitch, and even consider donating to my Patreon. This has been Professor Ganymede. Thanks for watching, guys. Class dismissed.